Info Plus for genuine information.
Namaste and welcome to Himalaya Television. I'm your host Jharna Rai, and today we are going to have a brief conversation with our distinguished guest from the Gannon University in Erie, Pennsylvania, a private Catholic university in Pennsylvania. And we have the president of the Gannon University, Dr. Keith Taylor. I would like to welcome him in the show. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
And Himalaya Television would like to welcome you in Nepal as well.
Well, it's been a great week so far, and we were welcomed with warm arms and tremendous people here in Nepal. So it's been a great week so far. Thank you.
Let's start with the Gannon University itself. I would like you to share about the university. What kind of university it is?
Well, we are a Catholic university, as you mentioned,
Yes.
started by John Mark Gannon. So we are coming up on our 100-year anniversary in 2025. So we've been around a very long time. A comprehensive university. So we've got programs from the health professions to engineering to computer science across business and cybersecurity. So we've got a full breadth of programs from associate degree, bachelor's, master's, and doctoral programs.
A lot.
We're a national university. We have a campus in Ruskin, Florida as well, and 4,700 students. So mid-size institution, but of those 4,700, 700 of them are global students. So we have a very large and diverse student population from 71 countries.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And Dr. Keith, you've been serving as the 7th president in Gannon University since 2011. What have you envisioned to better the position of the university, since there are thousands of institutions, educational institutions all around the world, and especially in the United States?
Yeah, well, I will say that we've been blessed in that many institutions in the United States are struggling from an enrollment perspective, and we are not. 4,700 is the largest enrollment we've ever
Very
had
large.
in the history of the university. And I think that comes from a tradition. I mean, all the way back to we have alumni from the 50s that came from China. In the 70s, we had a very large Iranian population at that time. So where the students have come from has changed, but we've had a global vision, and we've had an understanding that diversity and students learning with people that aren't like them helps them learn better and helps transform them into their best version of themselves.
Best version.
Yeah, so transforming lives is what we do as a university, particularly with the students, but also us old people also want to be transformed in that process. But as a Catholic university, the most important thing is that as we all try and become our best versions of ourselves, to bring that back to the community that we come from. And so, we have a large Nepali student population. Of those 700 students, 48 of them are from Nepal. It's actually the second largest group of undergraduate students on our campus. And so many of those students come, are very successful, then they come back to Nepal and are doing great things here.
They're doing great things here in Nepal.
Yeah.
Okay, like you mentioned, 4,700 plus students from across the globe. So how has the university managed to outstand from others and make it friendly, as students from different backgrounds all over the world come and go there for further study?
I think a couple things. Number one, we do have a tradition. So our faculty and our staff are used to having global students and have a tradition of welcoming them. So we speak of the Gannon community as the Gannon family. So once you become part of the family, you stay part of the family. But the Erie community also, Erie is a small city, so 100,000 students, 100,000 people. In the city of Erie. But a very large refugee population, so almost 10,000 refugees. So almost 10% of the population, and a large portion of them are Nepali and Bhutanese. So in particular, the Nepali students come to Gannon and they see other Nepali students because we have a group that are there and people that have come before them, but they also come to a community where they'll find a Nepali convenience store and other people in the community that it feels a little more like home than it might be elsewhere. So I think what makes Gannon a special place is the people. It is our family. It is our
from different culture aspects, from different backgrounds.
Yeah, faculty and the staff as well are very diverse.
Okay, let's talk about the post-pandemic situation in the university. Especially, how is the post-pandemic situation in the university itself and the area around the university?
Well, having a very strong science and engineering programs, we created our own COVID testing lab, our own tracing systems. So not only have we done, I think, 100,000 tests this year of our own community, but we also are doing testing for other universities and other businesses. So we created our own little system that's not so little inside the university. And we never closed. After the first couple of months when the government closed everybody down for back, what would that have been, 2020 spring? But we never closed campus. So even though we've been open face to face, our incidence of COVID has been lower than the city, lower than the state, and lower than the country. And I think that's because we've been doing very aggressive testing and tracking and isolating students and employees when they had the disease and quarantining those around it. So we haven't taken the lockdown approach. We've used the testing and tracing and masking and appropriate measures to mitigate the disease and have really seen very low incidence. And Erie as a community has seen a lower incidence than the rest of the state and the country as well. So, and I think part of that is you have a small community, you have a university that's a big part of that community that's helping to manage that.
So it's going fine, absolutely fine there.
Yeah.
Since we just talk about the pandemic itself, let's talk about the fact that the pandemic has affected the economic status economically. It has great impact in the educational field also. So has university in any way helped the students who in need, especially there to address their financial situations?
Absolutely. I think one of the things that the United States government did was put a lot of money out on the street. Some say too much money, some say not enough, but a lot of money out on the street. And that helped us support. Initially, the money had to go to U.S. students, but that's now been broadened. So we've been able to support students from across the globe that had exceptional need relative to COVID. So that was really important. But what also was important is that we've been thriving. So financially, the institution is doing well, which meant this last year we didn't raise tuition. So tuition stayed the same from last year to this year. And we've been able to provide financial aid for students, again, regardless of where they're coming from, but students in need. And that's something that Gannon has been doing for since the beginning of our institution. John Mark Gannon really wanted the way for students to come to college to be about virtue and their willingness to work hard and their commitment to get an education, to be the drivers and not have it be hindered by finances. So we are at the bottom quarter of our peers as far as tuition, and we provide over 95% of our students get aid of some sort to come. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
When we look at the current scenario overall across the globe, it seems like a lot of good number of students are willing to go to USA for their further studies. So how can the students and parents across the globe, not just in the USA, how can they get access to the university for the current counseling or anything that's related to the university itself?
Well, one way is that the president comes and visits you.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing.
So
the president himself.
Yeah, we just met with about 40 prospective students about an hour or so ago, and a couple of our parents of current students came to visit with us and with them, and a couple of our alums are here. So we have an agency here that works with us, and NIEC is an organization here that provides that type of counseling. But we have a very strong staff. I mean, first of all, the internet is a wonderful thing. So you can get onto our website and all those things are easy access. But the staff that are here with me are the Vice President for Enrollment and the Associate Vice President for Global Enrollment. We have a team that not only recruits the students, but a very strong financial aid team. And
which is a must.
Yeah, and a student development staff that when the students come, the most important thing that we find as far as recruiting students is the ones that come have a great experience. They go back and they tell their friends, and then their friends come.
Giving international education is definitely a major priority of the university. So how does Nepal, especially in context of Nepal, get benefits from the university like yours?
You know, we met with some of the ministers here in the last couple of days and really talked about getting a better understanding of where Nepal is, where Nepal wants to be, what the workforce needs are, what the economic needs are, what are going to be the drivers of the next decade or 5 decades in Nepal. And then how does a Gannon provide the technical training and the education
to improve all of our education system in Nepal?
Exactly. So we talked a bit about technology. We have very strong computer science, very strong engineering, cyber programs, business analytics. You know, so those programs are very strong and they're a huge need here in Nepal. But we also talked to the Minister of Athletics and Wellness, Sports and Wellness. I can't remember the exact title. I apologize. But his interest in having athletics be a bigger part of education in Nepal. And Gannon has Division II athletics, NCAA. We have 24 NCAA sports, men's and women's, and 700 athletes on campus. So one of the things that we talked about are there ways for our students who, we have students from all over the world that are athletes as well. And our women's volleyball team, our women's basketball team, our women's soccer team, football. Already travel and do clinics in other countries and do service. A big part of who we are as a Catholic institution is to serve elsewhere. So I was in Ecuador this year with a group of students, and we've been to Zambia and Haiti and all over the world together with them, which is a privilege that I have. But can we come to Nepal and help that minister drive sports and athletics and wellness as a big piece of how we help Nepal move forward?
It seems like you've been traveling extensively recently in providing services to those who are in need, and also in developing global partnerships and opportunities to your students and the faculty. So have you thought of any plans for Nepal?
So we talked a lot about the travel component of that, and we don't. So we have service engagements in, like I said, Zambia, and we have had 2 different groups of nurses and occupational therapists come to India. We've got a group that has come to Thailand. So, you know, what kinds of service opportunities are for our students to come and find a niche, find a place here in Nepal that we can support. I think.
So what do you see? What services in Nepal?
So, I mean, we have had healthcare, so nurses and OTs and PTs that have come. We talked about athletes coming and doing training programs and building wellness. My wife, coincidentally, is a physical therapist, as am I, and her background is in wellness. And is there a way for us to work directly with the government to help develop the programs? So there's a lot of ways that we can connect. The question is which ones are going to be the most beneficial, and we're just starting those conversations.
There are lots of colleges in Nepal that provide international degree for Nepalese students, but rather than sending our students from Nepal to other countries, can we establish colleges that provide international degree in Nepal? Have you thought of opening any colleges?
So we talked about many years ago about opening campus in a couple other countries. We, as I just said, we opened another one in a different state. We haven't really talked about a campus elsewhere, but we have dual degree programs in Germany and a variety of places now, where students spend 2 years in a Nepali institution and 2 years at Gannon, and they get a combined degree. So there's plenty of ways that we could provide education to those students, whether they studied abroad or whether we did that through other types of, but I don't know that there's, I don't think it's on our agenda to open a physical campus in Nepal. And I'm not really sure that that's what Nepal needs. You know, I think you have good institutions. that if we brought our expertise and we brought some of the programmatic pieces, you could do that here with our support without us opening a campus. But
so does that mean what we can do here in Nepal is not opening the colleges, but add some programs and expertise in the colleges that we already have in Nepal?
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, I think that there's value in students studying abroad. So Nepali students coming to the US, I think is a good thing. US students going elsewhere is a good thing, because living in a new environment and in a new culture is very different. So I don't think you meet the same need. You know, having Nepali students go to a Gannon University in Nepal, there's some value in that, but typically what happens on most of those campuses, you end up hiring Nepali faculty in Gannon University in Nepal, and you're really just another Nepali university with a different name. I think the benefit really is to have the students travel, be in the other culture, be in a family and a community where most people are not like them.
Exchange, learn.
Right. And so I think that I think it's a better way to go about learning. But that doesn't mean that our faculty can't support and teach classes here or be engaged in research and scholarly work with faculty from Nepal.
But it's better to go abroad for study. Is that what
I think
you're saying?
if the desire is, and ours is to have students that have a diverse experience so that they become well aware of the differences in culture and in race and religion and all the things that make you're better off doing that in that other culture. And then you bring back that different human being that now understands it to your community. I think it's more difficult, but that's something that Gannon is trying to do in having students from 71 countries all on our campus. So we've created our own little globe on our campus. And I'm not sure, again, I don't know Nepal, whether if we were to open a campus, and I don't see that being the solution, whether all of a sudden you'd have students from 71 countries in a Gannon in Nepal. Or we would really be here probably educating the Nepali students that would probably be better off if they just came to Gannon.
So not just a bright student, but a good human.
Absolutely. And the students, I mean, Nepali students and most of our students are very bright, you know, so I didn't want it to come across that way. But I think the students that come with a different spirit. I mean, they don't come to the other side of the earth. When I just met with a bunch of the prospective students, I said, they've never been out of Nepal. Now they said, well, we've been to India. And then they laughed, like that didn't count. And I said, when you're in the US and you say you went to Canada, it's the same kind of thing. It doesn't really count for another country. But I think they want to go. They want to go find those adventures.
Now that we're at the end of the show, is there anything that you'd like to share to our Nepalese students, viewers, and parents? Anything?
Yeah, I think the exciting thing for us just in the last few days is I've had an opportunity to see the parents of some of our students that I probably never would have seen until graduation. So I meet their children, but they don't, you know, the parents don't come over for open houses and orientations that we would normally have. You know, so I just say to the parents, thank you for trusting us in educating your students, for trusting us and sending them to the other side of the earth. We are taking good care of them. We will continue to take good care of them. And we look forward to the next group of students that will follow in their footsteps and continue this Nepali Gannon relationship for many years to come.
Thank you for your time.
Sure thing.
Have a good stay in Nepal.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. दर्शकवृन्द आज हामीसँग ग्यानन युनिभर्सिटी फ्रम पेन्सिल्भेनियाबाट द प्रेसिडेन्ट हिमसेल्फ हुनुहुन्थ्यो डाक्टर केथ टेलर। हामीले ग्यानन युनिभर्सिटीको बारेमा कुरा गऱ्यौँ र ओभरअल अक्रस द ग्लोब कस्तो छ एजुकेसन सिस्टम, इन्टरनेसनल डिग्रीको सिस्टम कस्तो छ र साथसाथै ग्यानन युनिभर्सिटीले नेपालमा कस्तो सहकार्य गर्दैछ भनेर केन्द्रित रहेर कुराकानी गऱ्यौँ। आजको कार्यक्रम यहीँ सकिन्छ। बिदा दिनुहोस्। नमस्ते।
Info Plus for genuine information.